ENC 3416, welcome to Module 6. You've made it. This is the end. After this week, we're done. So, once you complete your final project and the work assigned this week, you are free to go enjoy the rest of your summer until the beginning of fall semester. So, enjoy your 2 or 3 weeks or whatever you have available. Or if you are graduating, congratulations, and good luck out there in the world. Go get them. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing here at the end of Module 6. I want to talk to you a little bit about that final project, just some kind of last-minute bookkeeping stuff. And I think I want to talk to you a little bit about just writing in new media generally, sort of these end-of-semester thoughts, which normally I would put into writing, and I still plan to. You do, however, get a number of them in the reading for Module 6. So let me just kind of jump into that. I don't want to spend too much time repeating any content in the announcement. Let me just get that out of the way now. As of week 6, going into it, passing students probably have about 210 points or more right now. That's not to say that you are doomed to a C if you have below that. I've said before, whatever your circumstance is in regards to quizzes or outstanding work, if you are just sitting on that right now, I wouldn't sit for too much longer because this is a short week. But it is still possible to salvage a passing grade if you're not looking at 210 going into week 6. And that 210 is a really loose and sloppy number. This is all in the announcement in terms of the grade breakdown. So do please have a look at that. Please remember that the letter grades are only assigned based on work that has come due. So if you're looking at a B right now, as it says in my announcement, if you're looking at a B right now, there's a chance that, excuse me, Friday at 11:59 p.m., whoop, that drops to an F because it's all points based. It's never been letter grade based. It's all based on the number of points you have. There are 400 points total in this class. The more of them you have, the better. So just get on top of that. If you're having a hard time getting on top of that, drop me a line. You know the email address, vmalish@fiu.edu. Of course, I will repeat it at the end of this video, and it's on the syllabus anyway. So going into Module 6, I've got some end-of-semester notes for you, just some summary stuff on writing in new media, just what it means to sort of work with and define those terms. The big thing I want you to look at, though, and in terms of your discussion notes quiz, this is where I believe, I wrote that quiz weeks ago, so I don't remember everything perfectly. This is where I believe the bulk of the content comes from, the nitty-gritty of old versus new. Dial into that, because I am asking questions about our relationship to media over time and what these things mean. And the ultimate thought of that particular document, this idea of newer does not necessarily mean better, it only means different, is something I really want you to think about going forward. I also want to rebut an idea that I hear often when I have a discussion like this, and that's a sort of shrugging resignation, the idea that, like, well, that's just the way it is. And I'm telling you now that you can develop the agency to change things if you don't like the way they're going. I do list some very real problems with our current communication model. Particularly, I zoom in on ecological devastation and human oppression. All right, so those two things absolutely make our fantastic digital world possible. And if you don't like that, I want you to think about ways that you can challenge that system, but I certainly want you to think about it. I want you to think about how it's so much easier for us to communicate here in America, in the global West, however you'd like to describe it. It is possible in large part because of misery inflicted elsewhere. And I want you to understand that that is part and parcel of new media. It is not simply writing for the web. It is not simply writing social media. All of these things are connected in an ecology of communication and an ecology of being in the world. So I want you to think about these things. And that's mostly what that second discussion note is about. In terms of your work this week, obviously your personal portfolio and new media essay should take precedence over everything. I do give you some tips for completion in my announcement this week. They boil down to get something done. It's I would rather have you succeed with a less attractive website than not turn anything in, or to turn in something very pretty that's functionally useless or undersourced or not well informed or makes a weak argument or what have you. I want to see a good essay and I want to see a functional web page. In terms of the aesthetic and in terms of the extra content, you know what? If I'm getting a black and white web page just with the core, a black and white website with the core pages I've described, the about, that's the biography, the home page or landing page, links to social media, your essay, and the other baseline requirements, that's probably going to pass. So if you're worried going into this week, into Module 6, about your grade, about getting the project done, that's probably because you're thinking about good, and you're probably thinking about excellence, and I want you to think about done first. And once you get done, completed, then you can build up and make something excellent. But get that groundwork first. Lay that nice, even concrete, then put the facade up, all right? So as always, if you're having problems doing that, just reach out to me and I will help you. Your other work, you've got a discussion. It's final project sharing. You can cut and paste part of this in terms of the introduction to your project. That can come directly from your project. I don't care. I just want you to show other students what you're working on. I'd love it if y'all mixed it up and talked a little bit about that. Do not forget to include a link to that work. So we want to hear what you have to say about it, and we want to be able to see it. So include that link. You will have a discussion notes quiz. I just kind of touched on that. It does pull harder from the nitty-gritty old versus new segment, I think, than the end-of-term notes. It shouldn't be particularly challenging. Answers are, I believe, taken pretty verbatim, so you should find them. Finally, your last companion project for the semester is the old versus new response. So I want you to look at the nitty-gritty of the old versus new discussion notes and pick the 5 questions that speak to you, the ones that are the most important, the ones that set something off for you. And then simply respond. You can agree, you can disagree. It's okay to explore the fact that maybe you don't have a fully formed thought on this yet. But like I say in my announcement this week, I want thoughtful answers. I want you to engage the question. I want you to do your absolute best to wrestle with these concepts the way that I have and the way that students in previous iterations of this 3416 class have as well. Beyond that, you have an extra credit opportunity if you do peer review for your final project and submit a proof of peer review artifact. That can be worth up to 5 points. And that's largely to make up for how difficult it was to do peer review at the midterm. So if you weren't able to do that peer review, here's a chance to make it up. And if you were able to do it, hey, here's extra points, and so on and so forth. Like I said, I did eliminate the peer review requirement from the final project. So those points have been folded into your quality assessment. So, parting notes. This is already an 8.5-minute video, which is really longer than most people ever want to watch anyway. And so I'm on the hook for coming up with something very pithy to say about writing in new media. And I will direct you back to my discussion notes to say that it's more about just applying words. It's more than taking words and adding pictures. It's more than trying to sell ads with search engine optimized content. It's about being an ethical actor in all of this and understanding the weight of what you have to say on the ears of who is going to hear it. It is about understanding your responsibility as a writer and being able to identify trends and changes going forward. You won't always get it right. That's a fact. Some of the best minds in media writing have missed their pronunciations. Nobody's psychic. Nobody can see the future. But you can spot trends. You can get general ideas. One of which is a large trend towards what I would describe as disembodiment. This idea, it's actually a very old idea. This is Cartesian dualism. This idea that your mind and your body are somehow separate things. That communicative notion has dominated writing in the West. Now, I'm not just talking about English. I mean European writing and Euro-influenced writing like we find in America, Canada, much of Latin America, depending on depending on the educational model. This idea that your words and your ideas are separate from your lived experience somehow. On the one hand, that's what we see with digital communication. We see the words stripped of physicality. We see words that are detached from paper, from ink, from the human body that created them. On the other hand, all this massive glut of information has made it easier for us to connect people to their words if we want to, if we put that extra effort in. Video has made it more possible to be bodily present in our words than previously, when we had to rely on print or when we had to rely only on audio. So nothing is as straightforward as it seems. Nothing's ever simple. And when I use that word ecology, I use it with all the swampy messiness that includes. Everything is connected to everything else. And understanding how writing connects to the media through which we express it is the key to understanding writing and new media. So, absolute final words from me. It's been a pleasure to be it's been a pleasure to be your semester this professor. It's been a pleasure to be your professor this semester. If you have any questions or concerns going into your final project, wrapping up week 6, I'm only an email away and I am happy to help. That email address is vmalish@fiu.edu. Please use it. I'm really looking forward to your final projects, and good luck. Finish strong.